You're watching Mugen TV RPG Haven. Experience a fantasy like no other.
Hey guys, this is Mugen Lord here, and I'm back again with another video. And today I want to talk about the rumors as far as the Nvidia leak that happened about a month and a half ago. If you guys don't know that anything about that, there was a leak where Nvidia in their store where they had leaked out potential games that will be released in the near future. And the two games I really want to focus on out of that leak that happened was the fact is that there's a possible Final Fantasy 9 remake in the works, and also a Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. That's right, Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster and Final Fantasy 9 Remake. Now, if you guys don't know, because I love my JRPGs, if you guys don't know, besides Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 9 was one of my favorite Final Fantasy games in the PS1 era, and just favorite Final Fantasy game in general. And then Final Fantasy Tactics, which, if I had a top list of my favorite Final Fantasy games, which include spin-off and side games, Final Fantasy Tactics would probably be my #1 Final Fantasy game, ranked #1, followed by Final Fantasy 7, and then Final Fantasy 9, and then Final Fantasy 4. So I want to get into this because I want to give you my thoughts on what I think about this leak, and it seemed like it's pointing in the direction that this could possibly be true from a lot of information and a lot of other JRPG channels has been covering on this. So we're going to definitely dive right into this, and I'll give you my overall thoughts of what I think. So we're going to dive over to Game Rant in their article about this. So it says, all evidence that Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered may exist. Over the past couple of months, a lot of leaks have pointed to the existence of a Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster coming sometime in the future. Now, Final Fantasy Tactics fans have been waiting to see a new game for some time. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If anything needs to be remade as far as Final Fantasy is concerned, should be Final Fantasy Tactics. You don't understand how much I love Final Fantasy Tactics. And the thing was, I was going to do a playthrough on my Mugen Lord channel of Final Fantasy Tactics, but for some reason they kept saying, you know what, I'm going to hold off because there may be a remaster. Now, as we get into the article, we don't know what they mean by remaster, because remaster got so many definitions and so many different meanings. But I always said that I'm going to wait to see what Square Enix do as far as if they're going to remaster and update it so they can put it on the Nintendo Switch or the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. I wanted to wait and see what they do before I, do a live stream on it, because I want to get the best version of Final Fantasy Tactics, for the current hardware. So I definitely said that, you know what, I'm going to wait before I purchase it, for the PC or whatever, or get an emulator or something like that in order to be able to play it and stream it for you guys. So we're gonna dive right into it because I definitely want to get into this in a bit. So after Final Fantasy Tactics S only lasted from 2013 to 2014 on Japanese mobile systems, the series was abandoned and players would have to turn to other games to get the same experience. Even then, the excellent political drama present in the original Final Fantasy Tactics has not been fully reproduced in any Final Fantasy games since. Man, oh my god, that's why I love it so much, man. The Final Fantasy Tactics and the political drama that it had, that's what drew me into the game, and the characters are so well fleshed out and well developed. So the game did get an enhanced port on the PSP, which I do have, I still have it to this day. It's called the War of the Lions, but this version came with performance issues and controversial retranslations, and that is also true. Thus, when rumors started to swirl about a possible Final Fantasy Tactics remaster, it seemed almost too good to be true. Definitely seemed almost too good to be true, because I just got finished talking about this. I was like, yo, if they somehow remastered it or remake it or anything like that, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go buy it, and I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna review it, I'm gonna live stream it with you guys, because you guys are definitely missing out. If you love JRPGs and you love strategy games and you never played Final Fantasy Tactics, you are missing out. So now that several leaks have appeared from different official sources, it's beginning to look like there may finally be a definitive Final Fantasy Tactics coming to modern consoles. Please let this be true. The talk around this game has been surprising, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be coming out for a while yet, and that's also a possibility. Nonetheless, fans are convinced that the game is real due to an abundance of evidence, which I believe that this article is going to get into. Now, the thing is, That's the thing. That's the thing about Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't know why, and it has such a cult following. It really does, and I think it's some of Square Enix's best work in terms of character development, story, and also gameplay. And I don't understand why they refuse to not revisit it some way. I didn't like the Game Boy Advances. That was not Final Fantasy Tactics to me. I don't care what nobody say. And you notice that no one mentions, even in this article, about the Game Boy Advance ones. They weren't Final Fantasy Tactics. I was so disappointed. I just like, get this trash out of my face. I didn't like it. But the fact is that we could possibly get a remaster really got me hyped moving forward. So we're going to dig farther down to this article. The Final Fantasy Tactics community found themselves sharing the limelight with many other games in the leak list. On September 13th, 2021, a massive data leak from the NVIDIA GeForce now revealed dozens of previously unannounced games. Now is a streaming service that connects to many digital storefronts, offering thousands of games to play instantly. It operates similarly to Xbox cloud gaming with Game Pass or PlayStation Now. Microsoft titles. The leak was a far-reaching look into the game industry's potential future. Square Enix fans were especially pleased given the leak included such major titles such as Kingdom Hearts 4, a Chrono Cross Remaster, which we'll definitely talk about Chrono Cross because I want to talk about Chrono Trigger in general in its own video, but we definitely want to talk about Chrono Cross because out of all things to remaster, they want to remaster a Chrono Cross. So if they want to remaster a Chrono Cross, what does that mean for Chrono Trigger in general, in the series in general? So we'll definitely talk about that in a separate video. We're going to definitely get into that. So, and it said a Final Fantasy 9 remake, which we'll talk about Final Fantasy 9 in its own video as well, and then Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. NVIDIA quickly released a statement confirming the leak was genuine. NVIDIA confirmed this, that it was a genuine. Why would they do that? Why would they confirm something like that if it's not true? But we're going to have to wait and see. So, but that some of the games were just internal tests or placeholders that are not real. Look, it's real. It's real. Trust me, it's real. All right, placeholders, that mean they could change the titles or the names eventually for these titles. It can mean pretty much anything. So it's not clear which of the leaked games are fake. But thanks to Ubisoft aggressively taking down instances of the list, it does appear to hold some truth. If other companies are taking down the list that has their games on it, it has to be grounded in some form of truth, one way or another, and we're going to find out. And if you think about it recently, a lot of these leaks has been spot on. The Warner Brothers Multiverses was leaked, and that leak was true. And the Sora leak for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was true. So we're getting all these leaks out of nowhere, and a lot of them been spot on. So we're gonna move. Further Final Fantasy Tactics remaster leaks. So fortunately, fans only had to wait a month for Final Fantasy Tactics to be mentioned again. On October 22nd, Reddit user Dr. Nenard posted a playtest invitation sent to them by Eidos Montreal. In a survey intended to screen people for the playtest, several questions hinted the subject game might be a tactical RPG. Some of the franchises mentioned on the survey were Fire Emblem, Ogre Battle, Disgaea, and Final Fantasy Tactics. Now, Ogre Battle is just funny. I finished talking about Ogre Battle yesterday on the live stream with you guys, and that's crazy. Ogre Battle is another good strategy JRPG that you guys need to really look into as well. So, there were even references to games related to Tactics, like its portable sequels and some other Ivalice Alliance games. As Eidos Montreal typically works closely with Square Enix, this could be another hint at a Tactics remaster. One final piece of evidence exists regarding Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, and it's perhaps the most concrete yet. Now, at the beginning of November 2021, fans noticed a reference to a mysterious Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster on digital retailer Instant Gaming. The listing alludes to the Epic Games Store and displays a 2023 release date. Wow, that is far. That's a whole full year in months and some change. Even though that is a while off, it's plausible for a game with no official news and playtesting allegedly happening. If this Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster is real, it remains to be seen whether it will be towards revitalizing the original game or adding new features from the War Alliance. But regardless, it seems like Final Fantasy Tactics fans could revisit their favorite game soon. So we're going to talk about this for a quick second, because I think this is really, really important here. Now, as far as Final Fantasy Tactics is concerned, like I said before, and I'm going to say it again, one of my favorite Final Fantasy games of all time. One of the favorites. One of the best of all time for me, in my personal opinion. Now, when it says remaster, and this is what I'm harping on. I'm harping on the remaster for a particular reason. Is because remasters has been thrown around so much, and now it's been the term and the definition of what a remaster is has been evolving and changing on with whatever developer, you know, that decides to remaster a game. And we already look at Square Enix with Final Fantasy VII Remake. They took the definition of what a remake is and totally flipped it on its head, flipped it upside down, and gave us something totally, completely different. And if you guys want to check out my video on Final Fantasy VII Remake, definitely check that out here on the channel as well. So, when it says remaster, the only thing I'm thinking of now when they mention remaster is if you look at the Trials of Mana remaster that they have on the Nintendo Switch and, you know, PS4 and the Xbox One and the PC, that game is a remaster. Even though that it looks completely different, they rebuilt it from the ground up. They changed nothing about the game. The only thing that they changed was the visuals, and they did some gameplay tweaks that pretty much to make the game live up to current gameplay standards for action RPGs of this generation. Now, for them to want to play test something of a game that's pretty much way over a decade, well, it's almost 20 years now. Final Fantasy Tactics should be over 20 years, I believe now, right? Almost 2 decades old, right? Why would you need to playtest something that of a game that's old if you're just going to just remaster it, you know, clean it up a bit, and then repackage it or whatever like that? So if there is playtesting going on and they're doing a remaster, I guess it can be safe to assume that there may be some massive changes as far as the visuals are concerned. Like, they actually changed the graphics. It could probably follow the same footsteps as Octopath Traveler, which is called HD 2D, or, you know, Triangle Strategy, which is a recent tactical RPG, which I still haven't played on my Nintendo Switch yet, the demo that they have. I definitely want to try it out so I can be able to share with you guys what I think about it. But if they're going through all this and wanting to play test, I believe that this remaster is not just your one-in-the-mill, just average remaster where they just up-res the current game and then just slap it on a disc or slap it on a cartridge or put it on the Steam or the Epic Store shop and then call it a day. I really truly believe that they're actually doing some overhauling as far as the visual department is concerned, and probably, you know, doing some quality of life changes and gameplay tweaks to meet current standards for this generation of gaming. That's what I believe. And then from what they're saying, that there could be a possible 2023 release, which is a whole year from now, a year and some change from now. Man, that's one I would wait, but to know that there's a possibility and is looking farther and more legit, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm definitely going to hold off now and just wait and see how this play out, because there's still a bunch of JRPGs that's being released, especially the new Star Ocean and the Divine Force. You need to check that video out, which I just did a few minutes ago. Should be up on the channel now. Wow, so I have a lot of games to hold myself off, JRPGs to hold myself off till this game, because I still have to play Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. I still haven't played the DLC, the Yuffie storyline yet, because I already did a recent second playthrough before the DLC dropped, and I wanted to wait a bit before I revisit that because I still have other games to clear. But man, if this happens to be legit, which I believe it is legit, we have a lot to look forward to as far as being a Final Fantasy Tactics fan. And like I said before, we're going to talk about the Chrono Cross HD remaster. We're going to talk about that. We're gonna talk about the Final Fantasy 9 possible remake. So there's a lot of things that we have to cover as far as JRPGs are concerned. So if you guys like this content, definitely hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified for more news related to Square Enix, Final Fantasy, and just JRPGs in general. This is Mugen Lord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.